This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. In the interest of giving people what they want, here is a lesson today on how to avoid, I guess, sounding a bit like an amateur when you're soloing. Really, we're going to be talking about the major scale, the pentatonic scale, just those two ideas, and something which is in between the two. Avoiding the fourth degree of the scale is really what we're talking about, but we're going to do a few different approaches. If you want the tab for this, because I'm going to show you a lick in here which I'm working on today because I thought it sounded pretty cool, which is combining a little bit of this as well as some sort of technical stuff. But anyway, and this preset we're going to use here is going to be using the Helix pads preset. So yeah, jump into the Gumroad folder if you want that. This backing track will go on Patreon as well. Patreon, by the way, £2 to £3 per month, depending on whether you want to use the budget tier or above to get all my backing tracks and the tabs for this sort of lesson. There's also a £5 tier where I put my full-length transcriptions once a month. There's one coming up which is going to be based on the Beatles' She's Leaving Home. That was requested, so I asked Daniel if he could tab that one out for me. Right. A relatively simple concept. Our primer really is that you're going to want to know, first of all, your pentatonic scale. So like G major pentatonic. And ideally, you want to have kind of got it in your head that a major pentatonic and a minor pentatonic are actually the same thing. G major. Here's G major if you jumped down one shape, which actually looks a lot like E minor. Funny that. Right, okay, and then we also want this idea that the major scale kind of takes what is in our pentatonic scale and fills some of the gaps. So if we had pentatonic, between the B and the D we have a C, and then here, between the E and the G, we get an F sharp. So those are the two notes that we add to our pentatonic scale to get so map those out. Any way you know your pentatonic scale, think about where your C is in G, your F sharp, okay, I guess the first place to start with this might be your E minor. So you got an F sharp here. A, B, C, C again, F sharp, G. Now, what I want to kind of get you to notice is that basically over any of these chords, the F sharp will sound okay. Now, over any of these chords, the C will sound less okay. So, let's first demonstrate with the C then. Over the 1, it sounds like a suspended 4. So it wants to resolve in one direction or the other. Over the 2, A minor, it is our minor 3rd. Over the 3, it's kind of sounds like it wants to go somewhere else again, right? So we're playing there a C over a B minor. Then over the 4, that is obviously our 4, C over a C major. Kind of will work, but it doesn't add any extra harmonic information. Over the 5, it's our flat 7, so it kind of sounds okay. 6, so over the 6, there is a 6, like a flat 6, so E minor flat 6. So it's a bit of a clash. Over the 7, so in jazz they call this a void note, and it gets called an avoid note, and I think the more you know about it, the more you can make it work in each context. So like over the 1, that's got a really nice sound, but it's about context and like knowing where to place it, because you can make it sound quite bad if you just place it over like if I just land on that C really strong when I'm changing the chord like 5 or 6, maybe 6 will probably sound better than the 5. But it can sound really awkward. So one thing we can consider doing is avoiding it, or sort of omitting it from the scale. But a thing that you also notice is the F sharp does actually sound pretty good over every single. So that's a major 7 there. Over the A minor, that's like a 6, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. Over the 3, 5, sharp 11. Over the C, like that's the note that makes the C chord 4. Like the Lydian sound. It is the major 3rd of a D, the F sharp. It's the 9 of an E minor, like a really rich sound there. And it is the leading note. So chord 7 it sort of works over as well. So armed with that information, what we can instead do is, instead of thinking about adding the whole major scale, specifically target that F sharp as something that we want to add. So So take each of your pentatonic scales and add your F sharp. Oh, hit a C there. And in that way, we can actually improvise with relative confidence that whatever note we end up hanging on, and even over the C, which, you know, you kind of, a bit of logic might dictate that we might want to hit that C, even over the C, I think there can be sometimes some more like melodic choices. Like none of those notes were C. There was a C there. So consider avoiding the fourth degree of the scale or adding the F sharp. Now, just as a lick that I wanted to get in at the intro, we're going to take our F sharp now that we kind of liking the sound of, and this is going to be the format. So 14th fret, 10th fret, down to the B on the 12th fret, back up to the D, and then we stretch to the 15th fret, double that D, like this. Back down the pentatonic scale, 15, 12, 14, 12. And then we're going to repeat that idea. So 17th fret, 17 down to 12 to 14th, back up to 12, double down, 16, 12, 14. There's that F sharp, which we're adding in. 16, 12, 14, 12, and then we're going to come back down to that F sharp here on the 16th, 12, 14, 14 to 17, and all the way down. Quite a cool sound. Yeah. And because of the way that it's structured, it's going to sound really good over chord 4. That was wrong. Over chord 6. Over chord 2. You know, over all chords 5. Now with any of these things there will be exceptions to the rule. For instance, if you're playing like throughout that melody, for instance, that journey solo is targeting the 4. So it doesn't mean you can never hit the 4. It's just one of those notes which you should be aware that when you're hitting that note, there are going to be some chords where you're going to need to resolve like immediately or carefully craft an idea around that. So another thing to do with this would be to practice improvising where you're specifically targeting the 4th degree. You know, we're talking here not about following chords, but when you're playing within a home key like G major, understanding about how that C sounds against the root, that 4th degree, and sort of being careful around it and finding ways that we can resolve it, figuring out what it's going to sound like over chord 2, over 3, over 4, over 5, and getting a bit of control over whether that sound is something that we want to hear, or if it's going to be something that when we hit it, we're going to go, that's not what I intended. That's the idea. Anyway, and just some ideas around how you can practice that. So focus on the pentatonic scale, but adding the F sharp, or focus on the major scale, but avoiding the C. Specifically focus on targeting the C and seeing how that sound works. But all of this together is hopefully going to help us to sound maybe less amateurish when we solo. Hopefully. As I say, Patreon for the tab to go along with this and the backing track. And I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers.